What's up, guys? My name is Gabe, and welcome into the Trojan Blade. Heading into spring ball, there are multiple spots on the roster that are going to be up for grabs. Offense, defense, and special teams. There are so many new faces on this USC team heading into the 2024 season. So in today's video, we will break down some of these position battles. Today, we're starting with the offensive side of the ball. Defense is going to come later in the week, but I'll give you my thoughts on who we could see come out on top. Of course, before we do get into it today, though, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let's get into this. All right, so first battle I want to get into is the running back battle. This is a fascinating one to me. There's a lot of interesting options here, and all four guys are a relative unknown to us as USC fans. You have Quentin Joyner, heading into year 2 in the program, home run threat, elite speed, great vision. Undoubtedly the highest ceiling of any back in this group. If SC wants to get the most out of this group, we need Quentin to hit. With losing Marshawn Lloyd, you're going to want to find a way to supplement those explosive runs he provided, and Quentin is a fantastic shout to do just that. You also have Woody Marks, who transferred in from Mississippi State. He actually reminds me of Marshawn Lloyd in a lot of ways. Definitely not as explosive or twitchy as Marshawn, but he has a knack for hitting those long runs as well. He can catch the ball out of the backfield very well. He's very solid in pass pro. This is a veteran player that can add that calming, been there, done that presence to the running back room. Now, I am interested to see how his speed looks in the spring game, especially when compared to a guy like Quentin. But for me, those two guys are the leading horses for this battle. But you also have true freshman Brian Jackson. Big kid, 240 pounds from the state of Texas. He's a tank. I don't know if Lincoln is going to thrust him into a huge role this year. Lincoln has showed a sort of apprehension to playing first-year backs. You also have redshirt freshman Amarian Peterson. We didn't really see any of him last year, so the spring will be a very good showcase to see where he's at in this room. So overall, I have Woody being the number 1 back for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the year, but then I have Quentin really coming alive and taking the role over for the remainder of the season. No matter what happens, though, we will more than likely see a platoon-style deployment of the running backs this year. All right, next up, let's talk about the tight end battle. So with the horrible timing of Lake McCree's knee injury, hurting it during bowl practices is absolutely brutal. But we need to take a look at who's going to fill that gap. This is the most intriguing battle to me of any. Miller Moss is going to be throwing to the tight end much more than Caleb did. So who wins this job is likely to have a very big role in the offense this year. So we start off with the man that started the bowl game. It's the former Utah Ute and former linebacker Carson Tabaracci. So I thought Carson put some very good tape out there against Louisville. What impressed me most about him when compared to a tight end like Lake was his run after catch ability. And again, Miller Moss is the kind of quarterback that's going to hit you in stride. You're going to have a ton of yak opportunities. You just need the speed and athleticism to be able to capitalize on them. And Carson can do that. He also looked very solid as a blocker. Still a lot of work to do there, but that can be said for every single one of these guys. Next guy we have competing for a spot is second-year man Cade Eldridge. Cade also got some playing time in the bowl game. He was pretty quiet on the day, but for a true freshman tight end getting his first real game action, that's entirely to be expected. I was actually very impressed with his blocking. He's got a great mentality in the run game. He was sticking his nose in there and really mixing it up with the monsters on the Louisville line. You can teach technique, you can teach scheme, but you can't teach fearlessness and nastiness. Now, we didn't see it in the Holiday Bowl, but this is a kid that played running back in high school. He has that yak ability as well. He's great with the ball in his hands, and he could pair very nicely with Miller Moss and really create some big plays out there. Now, I'm going to be doing a names you need to know for fall camp video probably in July, and spoiler alert, true freshman Joey Olsen is going to top that list. As a receiving tight end, this guy is as smooth, natural, and creative as I've ever seen. The way he moves and positions himself to be able to catch the football is really remarkable. And speaking of catching the football, you won't find more sure hands on anyone in the entire 2024 class. Obviously, as a blocker, I would assume he has miles to go to be ready to play in the Big Ten, but I believe you will be seeing him pop up in the slot from time to time. If Lincoln wanted to, he could create a jumbo wideout package with Jacoby, Deuce, and Joey. That would be fascinating to see. Speaking of height, you also have 6'7" true freshman Walter Matthews. This guy is a force out there on the football field, big-time basketball player as well, can high point the football very easily. And man, this is a nasty blocker in the run game. He's from the state of Georgia. He plays with that edge that players from there seem to have. And I think that could give him a shot to play some this year. But of course, the name everyone wants to talk about is incoming true freshman Walker Lyons. This was a huge get for SC back in the 2023 signing class. He, of course, is wrapping up his Mormon mission to Norway, and I believe he'll be on campus for fall camp. This was a player that Georgia was all in on, but of course Lincoln was able to win that battle. And guys, this kid is the real deal. Blocking, receiving, yards after catch, big plays, you name it. Not only can he do it, but he excels at it. If he comes in and can shake that rust off and really get into this offense and make some plays, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Walker making some big plays against LSU. He's that talented. Now, I think it's a tad unreasonable to expect that considering how long he's been off. And again, I believe he won't be on campus until fall camp. So for the purpose of this video being spring position battles, he really can't be considered, but still thought he was worth talking about nonetheless. This is an interesting one. I do think Tabarachi is going to be the guy here, but honestly, there's so much unknown. I feel like predicting it is just throwing darts. So can't wait for the spring game to see how these guys look. Next up, let's briefly talk quarterbacks. Now, if you want a whole video on the quarterback battle, I did one 2 weeks ago that I will have linked in the description. But my thoughts on this are that they can call it a battle all they want. Miller's going to be your QB1 heading into the game in Vegas against LSU. All right, now wrapping up here with the offensive line. So let me start by telling you what spots aren't up for grabs. Elijah Page is your left tackle. Emmanuel Pregnon is one of your guards. Monheim is either a center or a guard this year, which we'll hit on more in a minute. I think Alani Noah is close to being locked in as a guard. I think the only real decision here is who's going to be the right tackle. If Mason Murphy is your starting right tackle come week 1, I think there's going to be some real issues along that offensive line. I would look for a big addition in that spot in the spring window to fill that gap. And I talked about Jonah Monheim. I also tend to think he's going to be the center for this team. After such a disappointing year for Justin Dedich, we really need to get better play from that spot. And Jonah would obviously provide that and then some. When you're talking about the NFL, he projects as an interior guy. He's already played guard. He's already played tackle. If he plays center and plays it well, he's going to be a hot commodity in the NFL draft. So I believe it's something he'll want to do as well. And just looking at the rest of this roster, there are so many young offensive linemen. I mean, we could be in for a surprise or two. Could true freshman Jason Zandamela win the center job? He's a big-time prospect, so that'll be interesting to see. It's rare, but sometimes guys are just ready to play. Elijah Page should have played way sooner than he did last year, for example. But looking at guys like Micah Benuelos, Tobias Raymond, Amos Talele, Makai Sanai, Justin Tuanu, Kelolo Taaga, and Hayden Schroeder, we have so many young guys that could take a big step and be ready to go. Only way of knowing, obviously, is to see them on the field. Spring ball cannot get here quickly enough. This is the longest offseason ever, I swear. It's horrible. But of course, we carry on. And guys, I do want to hear from you down below. Any thoughts you have on these position battles, please leave them down below. Always love to get in the comment section, see what you guys are thinking. And if you did happen to enjoy this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, the goal is to get the channel to 10,000 subs before the season starts. So I would really appreciate it if you could click that button down below for me. And yeah, guys, that'll do it. You're all awesome. And as always, take care and fight on.